So I want to start with the audience getting to know you. You have an incredible story. You were born in India, came to the US to get your PhD at MIT, worked on underwater robotics, and now you're founding an electric boat company. Tell us more about what got you excited about Maritime. That's really fascinating, and your story.
Yeah, well, I guess it has been a story of pretty jagged path, right? So, came from India, from a teeny weeny college, and got to America, a while back to do an internship, and ever since, worked on hard problems. So I don't think I was like, when I was growing up, it wasn't like I love maritime. I think I was attracted to hard problems, especially the space. So the space was my first love, right? And I looked at NASA and whatnot, worked in DOE. And then I was an aerospace and nuclear engineer. And then at MIT, I did my PhD. That's where I worked on underwater drones, initially for sending them to boiling water nuclear reactors. And it was the Malaysian Airlines, which got lost in the oceans in 2014. And I'm like, everyone's talking about robots taking over the world, going to Moon and Mars. Why can't we find a massive airplane that gets lost in the oceans? And that was the moment I was like, wow, we just don't know much about our backyard. And when you look at the technology stack that was transforming land and air, like the cheaper, faster computing, sensing, autonomy, electrification, it became certain that, obvious that if you apply that technology stack to maritime, it will fundamentally change how people and goods can move on the water. And there was a huge opportunity really to transform this industry ground up. So, that was really my path to, getting into maritime, yeah.
And some people stop at the ideation, but the incredible fact about Navier is you went from sketch to a boat on the water within 3 years, and that is unheard in hardware. And I'm a software investor, but I know it's unheard in former Meki. Tell us more about what made it possible. Is it building an incredible team? Is it, having the design software being super powered? Tell us more about that.
Well, I mean, you see the sketch to production, but I had to go through many ideas and iterations to get to Navier itself. But I think once I had conviction on the path that I have to take, right, to build a maritime company ground up, I think it's discipline, right? We did not have when I was starting out, right, nobody wanted to invest in maritime. Right now it is like a hot topic. Hey, it's defense, let's just throw a lot of money at it, right? But when I started, I did not start because it's a hot thing. I just started from the first principles, and I saw that, hey, land and air transform this way. What if you solve this problem, right? From first principle approach, what does it unlock? We build vessels that are, takes 1/10 running cost, right? And that fundamentally changes how people and goods move on the water. That unlocks transportation. So I think the biggest thing was discipline. Being very disciplined, very focused, and a small team. And if you do that, an exceptional team. I'm very, very fortunate. Yeah.
And to your points, just you mentioned, you went through a lot of iterations. In the current iteration of Navier, I'm very curious, what is the differentiated approach? What is the product strategy? What are you bringing new to the table in maritime?
Yeah, I never say, Navier is not, I say maritime company, not even a boat company, right? But actually, if you think about it, it's a company that is working on systems and networks, right? So how things and people move from A to B is what controls the economy, what controls, everything in the world, right? The speed at which things move. And that's how, I see the company, and I'm a, very math-based person as well. What's different is, yes, there are, the age-old, obviously, traditional boats and ships company, which are very one-off legacy. And then there is a new kind of maritime company, is very focused on, let's build unmanned vessels, right, because it's cool for the defense. Navier, a big part of starting Navier was actually, when I looked at America's position in maritime, it's number 19. Number 19. So that's a huge geopolitical, national security, and economic risk. We do not have any merchant fleets. We cannot even design our own ferries. I mean, I just got here from Berkeley today. There was another thing there. And I came here. It took me 1.5 hours. That I could have probably done on the water, end to end in 30 minutes, right? Why don't we have that? The approach, the differentiation here is fundamentally asking that how do you bring America as number one, right? And the big problem why we are behind is it's super expensive to build vessels. Like we are making 5 ocean-going vessels. China is building thousands, right? We build a destroyer or a carrier craft, which is like $12 billion that can be taken down a bunch of drones that are like $1,000 each. So how do you compete in a world of very asymmetric warfare, but also in an age where, we don't even know how to do transportation via water. We are thinking of very expensive eVTOLs. So what we focus, this autonomy and all that is the second layer. First layer is that how do you build fundamentally better vessels, right? To win, for America to win, what you need to do is 3 things. Number 1, build vessels that are a step function lower to operate, build, and scale. So for scaling, you need to make sure the software architecture makes sense, right? For range, you need to make sure we build hydrofoils. That, it gives exceptional range. Like you cannot do it with traditional hulls. The second part is that can really operate under diverse sea conditions. Again, with the foiling and all that, very few people understand what it takes to go to the high seas. I have a little bit of experience. I would not boast too much, but I do get it, right? And the third thing is, when you really look at it, basically the range is also that matters, range at speed. So because when you're looking at, going whether in Red Sea, South China Sea, or you're doing transportation, right? Range is a big thing that matters. So how do you do long range at speed? So this is like building a fundamental vessels. And then, as I said, you have to think of the software architecture of this because the future vessels will be unmanned, will be autonomous, whether the transportation will be robo-taxis on the water. So the platform architecture matters a lot. So it's not like, oh, let's get a boat, strap on autonomy, and being like, we are doing autonomous boat and we are becoming the Anduril of sea, and let's just throw a bunch of money at it, right? It is doing a very disciplined approach, and I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to imagine a future where we can go from San Francisco to Marin on one of the Navier boats. Will that be possible in the near future?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Yeah. I certainly hope so. And there's no reason that we should be in San Francisco. And we do not need, to invest billions of dollars. I mean, I think eVTOLs are great too, but there is a free piece of infrastructure. If you think about it, right? There's a free piece of infrastructure called the waterways, where we do not move and we do not connect, just because we haven't figured out the physics of how to move boats from A to B in a cost-efficient manner, cost, comfort, convenience, right? We have small boats have seasickness and all that, right? It's super expensive. It's 10 to 15 times more expensive than running a car. And then the convenience of it, how do you go to a marina? So you solve those 3 things. I think the impact of building a network, the impact of it is the same as highways, railways, and airways. And if you unlock that, 46% of the world lives in coastal cities.
I love that. I want to roll back because you mentioned something when you started, the investing community wasn't paying attention to this. Now it's all about, defense investing, and this maybe is under that umbrella. Tell us more about what made the change in the community, in the sort of ecosystem. What really triggered it? What is the latest interest level?
If you see from first principles, right? Every industry is supposed, if you follow what's happening in the world, right, you can see what industry will get impacted. So it was just, for me, it was obvious even 10 years ago that obviously maritime will change. Right now, obviously, when you look at the administration, right? Under this administration, there is a huge push about shipbuilding. and which is good. I think that this is an industry, it's $1 trillion industry, it needs change, and it's great that people are building because you need multiple companies to build that. But I think to really, really win, you have to have a disciplined approach and understand that, how do you scale? I mean, from number 19 to number 1, you cannot get there by building very fancy, exotic ships and boats, right? The question is, everybody's like, hey, let's talk about reshoring. So I think there is a huge wave of building new stuff, and I'm actually pretty happy that's happening.
Awesome. In the last few moments, I would love words of wisdom from a founder perspective, when you're going through the toughest moments where people are questioning you, what you're building. What would you say? What do you keep in mind to keep it going?
I grew up in India, in Kolkata. There was no data point of women building anything, forget, ships or boats or factories. And I think your level of pain tolerance has to be very high, and your level of people not believing in you, you cannot take it to heart. I think when things get rough, I just look back and think about all the seemingly impossible things I had to do to be here at this moment with you all, right? And I do have the fundamental belief that I've worked on extremely hard problems, and I think that it is important to me, and I owe it to myself and to the world, to solve the hard problems that can make a fundamental impact, how we live, how we, really interact with the world. So, I wouldn't do it any other ways, and I would say, true for everyone else.
That's awesome. To a lighter topic, because I'm going to fire you some questions. Your superhero, your favorite book, your favorite superhero, your favorite book, and your favorite equation, because you were a Mechie. She was my TA.
I just learned that. I was a TA in robotics class. Isn't that crazy? We just, yeah.
I'm here because of Sampriti. So.
That was a fun class, though. Robots doing the football stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what was the first one?
Superhero.
Oh, Tony Stark. You know that I'm probably the only one who has dedicated a PhD thesis to a Marvel superhero, and it's a 300-page thesis. The first line is, this PhD thesis is dedicated to Anthony Edward Stark.
Let's go.
And my PI, my PI actually, I think by now he knows who it is, but it was fun.
I love that.
Okay, next question was, what is it? The equation?
Your favorite book?
A book. Damn, that's a hard one because I feel I have a few, but there's 3 books that I all think are all my favorites. So I'll actually tell you all the 3. The first one, I think I love Atlas Shrugged. It has some crazy ideas, but Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand is building transcontinental railways. That's pretty cool. Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman is a very, very close first, and Lord of the Rings. All 3 I feel are my favorite books.
Awesome. My last one is the most important one. Your favorite equation?
Oh my God! I should say Navier-Stokes. I feel like I should say Navier-Stokes because I freaking named my company after that. But can I put Euler's identity equation along with that, because it's really poetic and it's so beautiful that you just cannot not love that equation, right? So, but
awesome.
Name the company after the equation. So
exactly.
I might as well.
Well, it was wonderful to be having this chat with you, and catch Sampriti on the hallways if you want to have a more.
Thank you. Thank you.
How about a hand for Faiza and Sampriti?